It's true, in fact, I actually used to be a slave of my mind until I learned this transformational aspect towards my life that completely changed everything for me. It's on the spiritual path, what you'll come to realize is that the initial awakening experience, you begin to become so frustrated and kind of rebel against society, against systems that are in place. And this is completely normal because if we're being honest with ourselves, there's this part of us inside that yearns, you can call it the soul, that yearns for something greater than just this tangible, this physicality, just see what you could see, taste, touch, hear, and smell, what the senses can really register in our reality. And when you begin to progress along the spiritual path, you have more of these like seemingly deeper levels of awakening and realizations of yourself, and you dive deeper into the intricacies, the depths of your own mind, your own psyche. You begin to realize it's a very dark and gloomy environment, and this is commonly known as the shadow self, the unconsciousness, the subconsciousness, the infraconsciousness. And this is where the real work really lies. And ultimately what led me to a breakthrough was the realization of the subjective and objective perspective of life. This is what changed everything for me because I no longer identified solely as a physical body in a physical world, living a physical existence. No, it's evident, it's obvious that we are in fact living in a physical world, but there's a resurgence or a rising of scientific minds that are actually realizing that, at the very root, at the very beginning of it all, beyond the particle, beyond the wave, it's energy. It's source energy. It is creation itself. And to me, this is very empowering because we solely identify as mind. What is mind, right? What is mind? The way I see mind is the way we perceive 97% of our life. It's our upbringing. It's the culture that we were brought up in. It's the institutions that we were brought up in, whether that be the schooling systems, right? What we learn from our parents. Because when we're kids, we view our parents as gods and goddesses. Isn't it true though? Like our mom and dad or whoever your caregiver was. Because we learn their mannerisms, we learn their behaviors, and we we actually take these on, some of these traits and characteristics onto ourselves, and we begin to formulate a worldview. And this worldview is certainly not an empowering worldview. All you have to do is begin to observe your internal states, how your emotions will fluctuate between one extreme to another. Our emotions are directly linked to the types of thoughts that we have, the types of beliefs that we have, the types of subconscious and unconscious patterns that we carry within ourselves, that in many esoteric circles and understandings, you have the seven deadly sins in Christianity, which are, the egos that we have within. Those are the seven main ones. There are thousands upon thousands that we have within our psyche, within our own psychological city, so to speak. And some may look at this as a very daunting idea or reality, but to me it's so empowering because the work of a spiritual warrior, the work of the aspirant, the work of the initiate is to ascend, to climb higher and higher. And through my own study, through my own experience, it's to go through the deepest levels of the mind. We have to work through the many layers of the mind. And once you have that realization that you aren't just a subjective individual, like you're not just this physical body that doesn't really matter in this grand scheme of things, but rather beyond it all, there are many different dimensions of yourself. There are many bodies, that exist in various dimensions. And the work is 100% done in this physical realm. So the one thing that I really hit home with me is the realization that, what you can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell isn't the totality of all that is. I mean, if you're somebody who's deeply intuitive, for example, you have abilities and you can perceive things that logic can't explain. But when somebody confirms what you saw or what you picked up, that alone is gnosis of the fact that there's so much more to this physical realm, so much more beyond even the thoughts itself. Thought is on another plane. Thought is in an etheric plane, right? On the level of thought. It's not in this dimension. Even emotion as well. We don't see emotion, we don't see thoughts, but we experience these things in our daily life. And this explains that there's so much more to reality, to mastery. What do we have to do in order to get there? Right? And to me, it begins with mind, with ego, multiplicity. The ego's not one, but many. And we begin to start there. We begin to observe ourselves. We begin to be watchful of our patterns, our unconscious behaviors. I personally don't understand how anybody can progress on the spiritual path unless they're observing their actions, their thoughts, their emotions, their behaviors, their everything that happens in one's life. Why do we do the things that we do? We've got to begin to be sincere and ask ourselves these questions and be honest with ourselves. So begin to understand. Go into meditation. Meditation is a great opportunity to gain glimpses of our true nature. Even if it's at a very small, minute scale, it's really maybe all that we need to inspire us to move forward on the spiritual path, because we're 97% made of mind, of ego. That means there's just 3% awakened consciousness. The cards are stacked against us, but there is room, there is 3%, and it's all we need to push us forward. And many times it's just a spark or an insight toward our own inner divinity that can really push us and propel us further along the path and give us that inspiration, that motivation, that drive to keep pushing higher and higher, closer to divinity. That's all I have for you guys in this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it and comment below, letting me know what you thought about the video, what kind of value you gain. And I'd just love to hear your insights on that. And with that being said, we'll speak soon.